Over the last 5,000 years, a series of mental laws have been discovered. In fact, back before the time of Christ, there were what were called mystery schools. And mystery schools were schools of people who would withdraw to the mountains and they would study for years. And over the course of the years, they would be taught these principles. Today, the great findings of the mystery schools are available to us as simple as gumdrops and newspapers. But 99.9% of people have not discovered them. So I want to give you some of the discoveries in the mystery schools, which many people today are rediscovering and going, whoa, it's like a teenager discovering sex. I mean, wow. All right, here's the first, the law of expectations. Your expectations largely determine the quality of your life in this sense, is that whatever you expect with confidence becomes your self-fulfilling prophecy. In other words, you are always telling your future by the way you talk about how you think things are going to turn out. You are like a fortune teller in your own life. And if you believe that things are going to turn out well, if you expect them to turn out well, then by gum, they do. If you believe that you're going to be popular and that people are going to buy and that you have a great product and a great company and you're going to have a great life and you're going to be accepted and well received by people, and then you act that way. So it's very, very important that you always expect the best. And this is the key, expect the best. Expect the best. Expect the best of yourself, expect the best of other people, but especially expect the best of people who look up to you. One of the discoveries at Harvard University is that there's two qualities of child raising that raise happy, healthy kids. Two qualities, by the way, that raise happy, healthy, powerful business teams as well, and sales teams. Number one is a democratic environment. A democratic environment is where everybody is welcome to express their opinions, and people discuss and debate and get feedback and so on and so forth, and they make their decisions based on consensus. So everybody feels valuable and important and respected. That's number one. For kids, it's phenomenal. Ever since my kids have been little, I always ask for their opinion. What would you like to do? Where would you like to go? Now as they grow up, we take turns. Where would you like to go for dinner? Where would you like to go? And so on. And the kids decide. And now, when they're adults, they feel that their opinion is valid. When they meet with other adults, they feel that their opinion is valid because they've been trained all their lives that their opinion is worth something. So number one is a democratic environment. Number two is a climate of positive expectations. Is the parents expect their kids to do well. Just like I tell my kids, you're going to be a very successful person when you grow up. You're going to do extremely well. You're going to be very popular. You're going to get good grades. When you expect the best of your children, children rise to your expectations. They may argue with you, they may reject, they may discount your positive statements because you're a parent, but it affects them at an unconscious level. I remember reading a wonderful line from a journalist. He said, "My father was not very talkative," he said. He was a good man, but he didn't talk very much. But I do remember him saying one thing which affected my whole life. He said, "Son, I expect you to do something worthwhile with your life when you grow up." He said, I still remember that because whenever it came up, he'd say, "Son, whatever you do, I expect you to do something worthwhile with your life when you grow up." He said, that rang in my mind all my life. He said, I've striven all my life to do something worthwhile with my life, just because of the positive expectations. So it's really important. Telling people that you expect the best of them. If you're married, telling your spouse that you believe in them and that you expect the best and you believe they'll be successful, and if they're not successful, then they'll learn something, they'll be successful next time. Repeating that over and over again is the greatest blessing that a person can have. Okay, so expect the best. Expect the best of other people, expect the best of yourself too. So the second law, the law of control. The law of control says that you feel positive about yourself to the degree to which you feel you are in control of your own life. And their psychologists call this a sense of coherence, a sense of control. It means that when you feel you're in control, you feel happy. You feel at peace with yourself. And you feel negative about yourself to the degree to which you feel you are not in control of your own life. You feel you are controlled by your bills, by your bosses, by your health, by your debts, by your family, by your obligations. When you feel that you're not in control or out of control, you feel highly stressed. A person with an internal locus of control says, I make my own decisions. I am where I am and what I am because of myself. I'm in charge of my life. A person with an external locus of control feels that other people are in charge of their life, their boss, their bills, and so on. The people with a high internal locus of control feel really, really good about themselves. They feel powerful, they feel empowered, they feel strong. And here's an interesting point, is you can never give away control, except to other people. You can give away your control to other people, but you still remain responsible. We'll talk about this later. So control begins with your thoughts, and your thoughts determine your feelings, and your feelings then determine your actions. I have a friend who has a little stick-on that he gives you to stick anywhere you want, and it just says C-Y-T. Control your thoughts. Control your thoughts. And if you can control your thoughts, you can control everything else. Your thoughts are the guidance mechanism of your life. So control your thoughts. And when you control your thoughts determine your feelings. At the University of Pennsylvania, they did 22 years of study, and they came up with a concept called explanatory style. You've heard the NLP people talk about framing and reframing. Well, explanatory style says that the way you explain things to yourself largely determines your emotions, largely determines your thoughts, your reactions, your responses, largely determines the total quality of your life, how you explain things to yourself. And so if you explain things in a positive and constructive way, then what happens is you respond positively and constructively, you feel differently, you take different actions, and you get different results. Now the next law is one of my favorite. It's called the law of correspondence. I love this one. It's kind of a summary law in many ways, and it has an equation, and the equation is this. This is my favorite equation. Remember this for the rest of your life. The law of correspondence, which is talked about in the New Testament, the Old Testament, and many of the old books, simply says, as within, so without. As within, so without. What it says is that your entire world around you is a mirror that reflects back to you your dominant thoughts. We say wherever you look, there you are. It's almost like you live in a 360-degree mirror. And wherever you look, you see yourself reflected back. Now, the 3 or 4 places where this is most common is, first of all, your relationships. Now, remember, human beings are extraordinarily sensitive, so that if you have negative thoughts going on about anything, you affect the relationships close to you instantaneously. They'll pick it up across a crowded room. Women, by the way, are far better at this than men. Men are kind of like blocks of cheese, but women are like high-tech computers. If you ever had an experience, every man's had an experience, they phone home, they say, hi. She says, what's wrong? That's all you said is hi or hello. She said, what's wrong? Is it your boss again? How did you know? A woman can pick it up with a single word. You can walk in the door and say hi, and she'll just go, I mean, instantly, she'll just read it. With regard to relationships, your relationships almost instantaneously will show you what's going on inside your own thoughts. If you're feeling happy, your relationships will reflect it immediately. If you're unhappy or angry for some reason, they will reflect it immediately. A second area, by the way, has to do with income. Is your outer world of income will be determined by your inner world of attitude toward money, earning, productivity, performance, and everything else. With regard to your health, your inner world of attitude toward health, food, diet, fitness, everything else determines your external world of health. And so, and also to success. If you believe that you're going to be a big success, if you believe it on the inside, then you'll see it, it'll be reflected back to you in your outer world. Intelligent people realize that whatever they see in their outer world is coming from themselves, so they always ask this great question, is what is it in me? What is it in me that is causing what's going on in my environment? Now this is the question of the superior person. The average person always tries to blame something in their external environment or someone, past, present, future. So another mental law, the law of belief. Now this is a biggie. This is really the biggie. This is the foundation principle, by the way, of all religions and all philosophies and all success is the law of belief. It says that whatever you believe with feeling becomes your reality, because you always act on the basis of your beliefs. And the more intensely you hold the belief, the more the belief becomes true for you. There's 2 sets of beliefs. There's conscious beliefs that we have, and there's unconscious beliefs. And there's that wonderful line from Josh Billings, the humorist. He said, it ain't what a man knows what hurts him, it's what he knows what ain't true. And many things we know about ourselves ain't true at all. What we do is we develop scotomas, or blind spots. Is once we've decided to believe a certain thing, we do not see anything that contradicts it. We may be doing wonderful things or wonderful work or being very successful. We don't even see that if we decided to believe that we will never make much more than we're making. Sometimes your parents will tell you, you've got to be worried about money, you've got to be careful about money all your life, and you'll never make very much, so you've got to hold on to every penny. And so people just hunker down, and they're more concerned about security than anything else. And so we develop these beliefs, these blind spots. And sometimes you need somebody to come along and open it up. And so you can see this vast world of possibilities that you have. And when this happens, people change completely. So your biggest obstacle is usually self-limiting beliefs. Your biggest obstacle is usually self-limiting beliefs. So what are your self-limiting beliefs? What are the most common ones? Well, the most common ones are internally, I'm not smart enough, I'm not as smart as other people, or I'm not talented enough, or I'm not creative enough, or Now here's a very interesting point, is that no one's born with any beliefs. Every belief you have about yourself, your potential, the world, religion, politics, people, anything, every belief you had to be taught meticulously with very careful instruction, repeated over and over again. And so the starting point of using the law of belief on your behalf is, first of all, you ask yourself, what beliefs would it be useful or helpful to me to have? And imagine that you could go to the belief store and buy a belief like a piece of software and program it into your hard drive so it became part of your operating system. But you could only choose one belief. What would be a good belief to buy? Well, a friend of mine spent 18 years studying the biographies of more than 500 men and women who had started with nothing and became successful. And he was looking for the common denominator of success, and he found it. He found that every single one of these people throughout their lives absolutely believed that they were going to be a big success. They absolutely believed they were going to be a big success when they grew up, and no matter what happened to them in their adult lives, and they never lost sight of that. Like the three wise men following the star, they felt that everything that happened was part of the process. Every setback was a lesson. Every pain was something sent to teach them something that would be helpful, and they never stopped believing in themselves. So if you could buy one belief, the belief is this, is that you are destined to be a big success, that you have incredible potential, that you're surrounded by incredible opportunities, and that you're going to be a huge success in life, and everything that's happened up to now is part of your preparation. So challenge your self-limiting beliefs. Don't ever say, I can't do that, or I'm not good at that, or something else. No, wait and say, wait, what if that's totally false? What if deep down inside of you had the ability to be extraordinary at something that's important to you? Whether it's skiing or skydiving or mathematics or selling or earning money or running a business. You probably have more ability than you can dream of. But don't sell yourself short. Now in the Bible it says, according to your faith it is done unto you. That's one of the most important principles of the New Testament. In the Old Testament it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, and the heart stands for the subconscious mind, which means a deep belief, so is he, or so is she. Now, William James says, beliefs create the actual fact. Is that if you have the belief, it actually becomes the fact, because you always act in a manner consistent with the belief, and as a result you get the results consistent with your actions. And you can control your beliefs. Is it easy to change your beliefs, especially old negative? No, it's not easy. Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it easy to lose weight? No. Is it possible? Of course it is. Okay, the next mental law is the law of attraction. The law of attraction says that you are a living magnet, and you attract into your life the people and the circumstances that are in harmony with your dominant thoughts. Is you're a magnet, and whatever is in harmony, the people, circumstances, ideas, money, resources that are in harmony with your thoughts, you start to attract into your life. In the universe, all energy is in a state of vibration, including mind energy. Now your mental energy, mental energy travels at the speed of light. It travels, and it's so fine that it goes through any substance. You can think a thought here, and it can connect with someone on the other side of the world. There are many examples, by the way, in World War II, where a person's son was killed in the Pacific, and they woke up straight out of a dead sleep in the middle of the night, instantaneously, and it wasn't until days later that they learned that at that moment on the other side of the world, their son had died. You'll have occasions throughout your life where you'll think of a person, the phone will ring, it'll be them. Or you'll think of doing something and you open the newspaper and there's an article on the exact same subject. So your mind is incredibly powerful, but it is a neutral law. If you think negative thoughts, you'll attract negative things into your life as well. Now this law of attraction, this is the basis of The Secret and all those things. The problem with the book The Secret and the movie and everything else is that it doesn't mention the word work. Which is why it's a wonderful thing. People read The Secret and say, oh, all I have to do is think happy thoughts and I'll be rich and happy. No, that ain't it. So this explains these laws. It explains the law of vibration, which says that all things vibrate outward. So thoughts vibrate outwardly from you. And the more emotion attached to a thought, the greater is the intensity of the vibration. The more emotion you have. If you think about, what you're going to have for lunch, it has very little vibrational effect. But if you think about someone you love, or a goal that you want to achieve, or something you want to accomplish, or even something you're afraid of, it has a tremendous emotional effect. It's like turning up the emotional power. Second of all is radiation. We say that everything radiates outward, almost like the ripples in a pond, and it also explains the law of what is called sympathetic resonance. You can walk into a room and you will have a resonance with another person on the other side of the room. And you meet that person and you get married and live happily for the rest of your life. If you were to take a piano and put it on this side of the room and put another piano on this side of the room, and then take a tuning fork and hit the note, I'm sorry, not tuning fork, just hit the key of C flat, bang, and so it goes bang, and you walk across the room, the key of C flat on the other piano will be vibrating to the same harmony as this piano. You and I have this experience of sympathetic resonance, where we resonate with other people, we resonate with ideas, we resonate with conversations, we resonate with subjects that we like to study and learn about. We have this all the time, and that is the law of attraction. It means that something within you is resonating within something outside of you. If you want to be really successful and you see successful people and you start to resonate with their accomplishments, you start to become more like them. Now, here's an important point that people don't realize. This also explains what is called the law of repulsion. Now, the law of repulsion says that if you hold a negative thought, you repel anything associated with that thought out of your life. So many people are brought up to look down on those who are successful, to criticize successful people. This is fatal, because if you criticize successful people, even in your heart, it drives success out of your life. It guarantees that you'll never accomplish anything with your life. You'll always be miserable and unsuccessful. If you criticize wealthy people, they'll never be wealthy. And so therefore, it's so important for you to admire people who are enjoying the success that you desire. If you admire successful, happy people, you create this sympathetic resonance, and you begin to attract into your life people and circumstances and ideas that will enable you to be like one of those people. When people criticize other successful people, it has no effect on the successful people. It doesn't hurt them at all. They don't even know, and they don't care. But it destroys the criticizer's chances for success. One of the characteristics of poor people is they look down on rich people. Now, what is the chance of them ever having any success in life? In the zero range? It's probably nothing. They'll never be successful, and they'll never understand that their own mentality is what drives out all possibility of success from their lives. So always admire success, and always want for others what you want for yourself. If you want to be a big success and you see somebody successful, say, that's great, congratulations, that's wonderful, because if you can get it, I can get it. Abraham Lincoln once said that some are rich as proof that others can be rich as well. And so what we do is we look up to successful people. The next law is called the law of subconscious activity. The law of subconscious activity basically says that your subconscious mind functions automatically. It is like clay. It takes the imprint of your conscious thoughts, and then it makes all your words and actions consistent with your previous programming. It makes your words and actions consistent with what you've put in the past. It's sort of like if you program your computer, what do we say? GIGO stands for what? Garbage in, garbage out, but it also means good in, good out. So if you reprogram the commands going to your subconscious computer, you get new programming. The work at the University of Pennsylvania says basically that we see the world based on what is called our interpretive style. And your interpretive style is the way you interpret things to yourself. So if you change the way you interpret things to yourself, your attitude toward everything changes. Sometimes just challenging one thought can transform your life. I'll give you a quick story. Once upon a time, there was a young guy, grew up in a family. His father was a Fortune 500 executive, extremely wealthy. This kid grew up, he had everything, he had servants, he had money, he had everything else. He grew up spoiled beyond belief, and his father was busy working and so on, but for one reason or another, he grew up and he was very spoiled. He was pushy, he was arrogant, he was rude toward the servants and toward other people, and the father realized he had raised a really spoiled, wastrel type kid because he never had to work for anything in his life. Well, the young man went off to college, completed college, reasonable grades, and then he came back and he said, okay, Dad, get me a job. Nice kid. So the father said, all right, I will get you a job. The father realized he'd made a mistake with his son, and he wasn't quite sure how to help him. But he got him a job with another Fortune 500 company, and the young man went to work, and after 18 months, the boss called him in and said, you're fired. We don't want you around here anymore. Your work is low level. You're not very competent. You're fired. Get out. He comes home. He's been fired. His father said, well, you know, I'll see if I can get you another job. So a couple of months goes by. His father gets him another job. He goes and he works for 18 months at this job. This time he works really hard because he's determined not to be fired. After 18 months, boss calls him in and says, you're fired. Get out of here. Kid goes home, and this time he's in mid-20s. He's really upset and angry. His father says, well, let me see what I can do. I'll call around. And this time he gets him another job. 18 months later, he's fired for incompetence. He does this 4 times. And then the son discovers, when he's about 28, 29, by this time he's working hard. He's working long hours. He's working himself silly so he could do a great job, so he could really work up. And he's doing a great job. He's gotten better and better, more disciplined, more focused and everything else, but fired 4 times in a row from major companies. And then he finally finds out somebody lets him slip. And he said, well, why am I being fired? He said, well, that was the deal. He said, what do you mean deal? He said, well, the deal was, I told your father I would put you on for 18 months, and he agreed as long as I would fire you at the end of 18 months. He said, quite honestly, you've done a fantastic job here, one of the best people we've ever seen, but that was the deal. This young man went home, and he was now he's in his late 30s, he is so mad. He gets into a shouting contest with his father. He swears at him, he says, that's it. He said, I will never talk to you. I will never have anything to do with you the rest of my life. He walks out, leaves, he gets his own job this time with a Fortune 500 company, becomes a crack executive, moves up to a senior position. He's well paid, well respected. And at the age of 38, he's still mad. And he's talking to his spouse or something else and about his father and what his father did all the way in his 20s. And his spouse, his wife said, honey, did you ever think that maybe your father loved you so much he was willing to put you through all of that, knowing you'd end up hating him? But he did that to make you the kind of man that you've become today. And it was just like a whack in the face. And suddenly the son realized, in all honesty, he was a jerk when he came out of school. And that now he was a successful, highly respected person, and it would never have happened in the absence of those experiences. So he went to his father. He's now 38 years old. His father's about 60-something. Went to his father and confronted him and said, is this true? And he said, yes. He said, I hated to do it. He said, but I realized I made a mistake in raising you, and I had to compensate for it. I had to make you the kind of person that you could be, and that would only happen with adversity. And so I was willing to lose you in order to save you. And they embraced, and they became the best of friends for the rest of their lives. So my point there was what he did is from being angry to the age of 38, he changed his perspective and realized that what had happened was a good thing. What happened was done out of love and not out of unkindness. Okay, the next law, the law of cause and effect. Now this was the granddaddy law that really changed my life. The law of cause and effect says that for every effect in your life, there's a specific cause. All other laws in the universe, I call it the umbrella law, all other laws, mathematics, physics, mechanics, all fall under the law of cause and effect. Aristotle proposed this in 350 BC, and it was called the Aristotelian principle of causality, which was a great shock to a world that believed in gods and coincidences and lightning strikes and Mount Zeus on Mount Olympus. What they said was, no, everything happens for a reason. And if we're not happy with what's happening, we can change the causes. If a person's overweight, people say, well, I'm overweight, it's because of my glands. Yes, sir, it's your mouth gland, and it's malfunctioning several times a day. You know, we know how to be healthy and fit and how to live a long time. We know how to make all the money that we want because there are hundreds of thousands of millions of people who have. Did you read the statistics in the paper this morning? Great statistics. Ta-da! In 2001, there were 7.7 millionaires in America. I'm sorry, 2001. 2011, 10 years later, after all the depression, recession, panics, crashes, and everything else, there's 10.2 million Americans with a net worth in excess of $1 million. Now, that would suggest that all these people, 90% of them started off with nothing, and they're still continuing to grow. That's a growth of what, 2.8 million? Is that what it was? It's about 2.8 million more millionaires now than there were 10 years ago. And all those people started off with nothing. So if you want to be a millionaire, then you can be a millionaire. Just do what other people who started with nothing did to become a millionaire. The most important application of this law is that thoughts are causes and conditions are effects. Your thoughts are what are called the primum movum, the primary moving force of your life. Your thoughts create the conditions of your life. It's very much as though you had one of the old slide projectors, and you put in a slide, it projects on the screen. Your thoughts project on the screen of your life. As the hippies used to say, wherever you go, there you are. And so wherever you look, there you are. Wherever you look in the world around you, that is your thoughts projected onto the screen of your own life. So the question is, what do you think about most of the time? And the rule is, if you change your thinking, you change your life. If you change your thinking, you change your life. And there is no other way.